Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first Master Talk organized by the Fashion Atelier Certificates Program of Hong Kong Fashion Designers Association. It is our pleasure to have an internationally renowned VIP speaker, Professor Andrew Ramroop OBE, Master Tailor and Principal of Savile Row Academy from London, known worldwide for his professional and excellent tailoring skills. Moderating the discussion today will be Ms. Janet Zheng, Chief Curator and Project Director of Fashion Atelier Certificates Program of the Hong Kong Fashion Designers Association, and Ms. Elita Lam, Head of Academic Development of Hong Kong Design Institute. Let's welcome Janet and Elita.
Hello. Good morning. Okay, let me start. Welcome everyone to join this Master Talk. Let me introduce the chief organizer of this event, Hong Kong Fashion Designers Association. We were founded in 1984. We've got over 30-something years of history, and we have been we are a pure fashion designers association, and we have been providing a lot of platform for young designers and professional practitioners to get together. We discuss, we have seminars, we have fashion shows, we participate in a lot of advisory board roles, and we also achieve a lot of big events, especially the ones funded by Create Hong Kong of the Hong Kong government. And so we are a self-financed association, and we aim to just combine, unite the force of the Hong Kong fashion designers. And we have different categories of members. And we have the executive committee, we have honorary advisor, we have full members, we have affiliated members. Members are those who are fashion designers, but they are in the teaching role or in the fashion-related roles. And then we have ordinary members, the younger sets. And then we have the junior members. Those are the complimentary membership that our association award to every year the graduate fashion design alumni, and we offer them, the excellent ones. We go to all the fashion shows, and then we offer them complimentary membership. When they come for an interview, we also give them awards, the Hong Kong Fashion Designers Young Talent Award. And here are some of the big events we've been delivering recently, in the recent years. Actually, for years and years we have, but of course we show you the more recent photos. This is one of the most spectacular events we have in, I think it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, that by the Hong Kong Harbour, beautiful site, and with a very spectacular outcome. And this is our exhibition that we hosted, organized, but again funded by Create Hong Kong in Landmark last year. During the pandemic, we were very lucky that we caught the time when it wasn't that severe. And then this is a combination of exhibition and our Justables. These are under the branding of Justables, meaning fashion and music, and fashion and pop-up stores and all that. So I mean, we don't only do grand events, but we do it because the Hong Kong government, Create Hong Kong, recognize us as a very able association who can host such a spectacular event every year. And our members, we all practice in different fields of the fashion design sector. Some are very in commercial field, some are in consultation field. This is last year during the exhibition. Vogue has featured us, and they took very beautiful photos. Actually, these are from our young designers, and they are graduates from Hong Kong Design Institute, Hong Kong Polytechnic, and then the I, and also the other prominent fashion schools. And so we have. Oh, okay, so I'm handing this over, sorry, I'm short-sighted. Handing this over to Elita to introduce the Hong Kong Design Institute. Elita, the Hong Kong Design Institute is our co-organizer, and very thankful to Hong Kong Design Institute also sponsoring us part of the venue and everything else.
Thank you, Jeanette. Okay. We are thrilled to have the opportunity to work with the Hong Kong Fashion Designers Association, and of course the opportunity to work with Professor Ramroop as well. So I'm Elita, and let me give you a brief introduction of the HKDI. The Hong Kong Design Institute is established in 2007, and at HKDI we try to bring together the streams of different design departments. We have architecture, interior and product design, digital media, communication design, as well as fashion and image design. And now where you are having the master talk here is our fashion archive, the HKDI Fashion Archive. It is one of the 6 knowledge centers in HKDI. Knowledge centers meaning that we set up a platform that we could bring together designers, artists, teachers, students, as well as our industry partners to come together to share anything about fashion or design. So here we have archived a collection of branded clothing, ethnic costumes. We also have vintage garments, stage costumes, fashion accessories, so that students and visitors can come and have a feel and touch of the, so this is the fashion archive. So they can come to have a feel and touch of the signature piece, so that we try to build a creative environment for our students to learn and to inspire about design and to open the window to aesthetics and techniques. So this is about our school. And of course, at HKDI, we always advocate craftsmanship. And also experiential learning. So that's why we have this fashion archive here. So perhaps I'll pass to...
I just want to say that HKDI is one of the very, very dynamic design school, not only fashion design. They have, I always believe that design has to be, like all the design disciplines should be together to make it very dynamic atmosphere. And plus that they are very aware of what's needed for students. I was very pleasantly surprised when they started this fashion archive, because it's very important for designers to actually touch and feel well-finished garment rather than just watching everything online. Because to see everything face to face, or touching it, or looking at the inside, it's more important than just seeing a beautiful image online. So kudos to the HKDI for doing that.
Yeah, and we also host regular fashion exhibitions and events like today, so that everybody can come on a regular basis and to meet everyone face to face and to have some chit chat on fashion and design.
Okay, so we go on to the next. Okay, let me talk about this Fashion Atelier Certificate Program. For the first time in Hong Kong, and being very grateful to Create Hong Kong, the Hong Kong government again, that they are funding us to start this for the first time, the first Fashion Atelier Certificate Program, and the first one that we would be inviting like super masters from all over the world. And of course, we would start off with a bang by inviting Professor Ramroop to teach us face-to-face course. Hopefully, if the pandemic is not too severe, hopefully in May and June. And this Professor Ramroop would be coming to emphasize and teach on craftsmanship. But as far as I'm concerned, creativity and craftsmanship is like, has to be hand in hand. Without craftsmanship, my slogan is that it's like a beautifully designed restaurant, but without a good kitchen nor a good chef, all right? So to me, it's actually a very important part of a fashion design process. So this vision and mission of this program is to, one word, fully upgrade Hong Kong fashion design industry so that we can always be ahead and to be the fashion design hub that we've been trying to promote for years and years. But I believe in action speaking louder than words, so we do it. We just don't talk it, all right? So the aims and objective, of course, is to inspire the industry and to promote Hong Kong and to sustain, because everyone is talking about metaverse, online, but actually we're all sitting here, we're all wearing clothes. We're actually wearing real clothes. So, the traditional, good, refined, high quality craftsmanship is actually more important than actually watching everything online. Yes, we're developing a metaverse, but I still believe that good old traditional craftsmanship is as important as having healthy food into your body, Okay, and to cultivate the younger designers as well as the professional practitioners. That is in Hong Kong, but I think everybody needs an upgrade. So
perhaps I can give a brief introduction about the agenda for today. Now, we will first talk about the power of craftsmanship, followed by a panel discussion with Master, and then finally we will have a Q&A section. Okay? So, Jeanette, would you like to talk about?
Okay, like I was just saying, the power of craftsmanship is actually, to me, everybody could talk about creativity or design concepts, but to me, there are real creativity, but there are just, mediocre creativity. I mean, I hate to say that. So what makes a big difference on a good design collection is the craftsmanship, is to make everything beautiful and important. And as you can see, like some of the really classic names of the past and current designers are all very, very skilled in their craftsmanship. And even here I'm showing like even the very stylish recent collections of especially Alexander McQueen, although he's passed away, but even his company still sustain that sort of craftsmanship and good tailoring, good cutting. So you're going to see like, ladies wear, men's wear, all very stylish, but without good cutting, without good fit, without the flair of cutting, you cannot achieve this type of effect. It's you don't need layers and layers of design to have a stunning collection. Because I always say to like students that, they do a lot of layers and creativity. That's because they have not grasped the good cutting and fitting techniques. Once you know how to do it, you don't have to have layers of, square cutting clothes. You see, the menswear is all very tailored. All these are, of course, one of my most admired designer, Alexander McQueen. Okay, but of course there are some mixtures of other design. Oh, okay. Let me go back and then I'll let Elita. I know that you're very well aware of the importance of craftsmanship. So, what does your department and your fashion design and image design department advocate right now, currently and recently?
In our program, we always emphasize the hands-on experience and professional skills development. We think that this is very, very important. That's why we set up this fashion archive here. One is to let students unfold the garment and to understand the details. And, and as technology is becoming more and more important, we cannot forget the classical and the traditional techniques. So instead, we should blend the modern technology with the traditional practices to make a masterpiece. I think, so that's why in our program, we spend a lot of hours time for students to practice, especially on the garment construction part as well as the pattern cutting techniques. And in the fashion industry per se, we all know that the technical requirements are actually a mandatory requirement. So I think it's equally important as creativity and innovation.
Well, it's a pity because in the, I hate to be one of those people who talk about the good old days, but in the old days, when I worked in London, all fashion designers cut their own pattern. Because it's actually, your right hand you draw and then you also hold the scissors to cut, because that's part of the creative process. But I know that even now internationally, not a lot of designers are, of course they're too busy to cut, but they still have to have the knowledge in order to supervise your helper or the pattern cutter who's working with you to make it look exactly the way you want it to look. But first of all, you have to know the craftsmanship in order to be able to supervise. That is very important. So yeah, okay, this is a very important point I want to bring out. This, you can see that Kingsman, this is a Kingsman movie with all the beautifully cut with, Savile Row Huntsman shop as the background, and it's an image they're trying to build that you can look elegant but still fight the enemies. Your suit can be very, very fitted, but because it's cut so well, you can still have a kung fu movement without your suit. Oh, this is a typical Savile Row shop for those who are curious. This actually, I think it's in a Savile Row shop of. Okay, so these are, it's just an interesting, and then we have James Bond. Oh, you see the young actor wearing the typical recent, they're reviving the double-breasted suit. Well cut, still manners maketh man. There's still being able to accomplish difficult missions. And then you see it's an image they're trying to bring forward. Well-cut suit, elegant, but still looking, it's like they would say that an armor for a man. All right. And okay, so we have enough James Bond and good-looking guys. So we have the program introduction, again, funded by Create Hong Kong. The Savile Row Bespoke Certificate Program is an on-site training program. And it will be delivered by a very, very super international bespoke tailor master, Professor Andrew Ramroop OBE, and CMTT. And he is the principal of Savile Row Academy in London, and he also has a shop called Morris Sagwell, and in Savile Row. And the training program would be including measurement, precise fitting techniques, pattern cutting, and design, etc., for menswear and women's wear. So this is the program detail, the dates, and it will be small class teaching because there will be a lot of face-to-face tutorial in the Hong Kong Design Institute. And Savile Row Academy is, people who wear suit, people who are aware of fashion knows that Savile Row is a very important, it's like the Dior for ladies wear, Savile Row for menswear. And Savile Row Academy is in Savile Row. And they have been trying to train and aspire tailors to be to achieve the highest attainable standards. And as I said, they are in Savile Row, and the academy has been established since 2008, right? And mostly they have different master tailors, and of course, Professor Ramroop is the key professor, super professor there, and so we're very lucky to be able to engage him to come to Hong Kong. Okay, we'll show a video.
We have a video.
Okay. Oh, you got it.
For 7 years, I was president of the Master Tailors Association, and I'd been trying to get the 39 members of the association to start a training facility. And for whatever reason, it wasn't attractive enough for the association. And so I resigned as the president, and I decided that if I wouldn't get the support to start a training facility, then I would do it myself. I did that in 2007, and we opened the doors in January 2008 with our first group of 6 trainees. And now we have 20 trainees.
I've been a student since April, so I've just finished my foundation module, and now I've just started my pattern drafting module. Still got just over a year left on the course.
There are lots of ladies, there are lots of young girls coming into the industry. And at Savile Row Academy, the next group, we have 5 girls and 5 boys out of a group of 10. So it varies, but on average, you're about 50-50.
I'd thought about doing a degree in tailoring, and I've thought about doing a design degree and then a master's in tailoring. But then I kind of took a year out, and I found this place, and it just seemed like the best thing for me. It really spoke to me, just learning at the home of tailoring. I just thought there's no better place.
For me, it's really sharing my knowledge, my experience, and protecting, enhancing, and developing the workforce for Savile Row for the future.
I'm really enjoying being at Morris Sagwell. I hope to continue to work here after I've got my tailor's certificate, because there's so much to the techniques here that you do have to work here and do this for a number of years before you really can be excellent at it. And that's where I want to get to. I see all the amazing things that the tailors here produce, and I want to be able to do that.
A lot of my first students are actually working in and around Savile Row and holding pretty important positions, actually. I think in 10 years' time, all of the tailors in Savile Row and surrounding industry, clothing industry certainly, would be trained at the Savile Row Academy.
So we're going to introduce Professor Ramroop OBE, and here we're just showing some of the awards and different, awarded by the Queen. The OBE award, I think he's the only tailor who has been awarded the Tailors Award, and as well as like 2 awards by the Queen. And you could see that he's also the president of the Master Craftsman Association of Retail Export Group, and consultant advisor of the World Federation of Master Tailors. And actually his achievements is like pages and pages. We're just showing some of his achievements. So here we welcome Professor Ramroop. It's very nice for you to collaborate and to cooperate with us to even put together this engagement talk. I know you've been very patient. We've asked you a lot of questions and taking a lot of your time, but I think it's all going to be worth it because you're going to be helping the fashion practitioners and the designers at this side of the world. So we'll start with asking, like the first topic is, can you talk about the Savile Row tailoring and your views of why you start? I know we've got the video, but coming from you, it will be even more endearing. Can you talk about what is Savile Row tailoring and your aspirations in starting the academy? And I know that the video has introduced it, but we would like to hear more from you on this topic.
A very, very brief history on Savile Row. It's known as the pinnacle of sartorial excellence. It has taken what is traditionally a gentleman's suit and fine-tuned it into an international garment to be worn by businessmen all over the world, by politicians, captains of industry, and it's been such that it's instantly recognized as business attire. And there are, of course, opportunities to change the attire and make it more casual, the sportswear, and formal wear with tuxedos and so on. Now, what is interesting about what Savile Row Academy does is that we provide a multi-skilled training for those who aspire to be successful in the field of craft tailoring. And that is very, very important because very seldom do you get observations or complaints about how a garment is made. But you find the customer is more engaged on how a garment is cut and how it's fitted. So when you talk about the power of the craftsmanship, that is very, very important because what we are doing is essentially taking something like a piece of cloth that is flat and creating a 3-dimensional form with it to look stylish, to look elegant, to be in harmony with the body shape, comfort. And so all of these values we bring together in the power of craftsmanship. And it was very interesting to see that the influence in the pictures that you've shown, the influence of East meeting West, West in the silhouette, East in the design, which is very, very exciting to harmonize the 2 relationships and bringing it into a world-class level that will make Hong Kong very well known for excellence in this field.
Actually, it's very interesting because recently in the Muse, they have an exhibition on the Hong Kong tailors, like all the bespoke tailors exhibition. I'm sure some of the audience here has been to that exhibition because it was even introduced on TVB Pro this few weeks, and they're also talking about the, they say that the Hong Kong tailors, bespoke tailors, it's like a sunset industry, but I don't believe so. I always believe that if a thing is good, it will last forever and ever. So I would let Elita go on to the next topic?
Yeah. And I learned from Andrew just mentioned that the techniques and skills and all these are very, very important. And we all know this when we are designing programs for our students as well. So we are quite interested to know that your views and your thoughts about the bespoke tailoring in the world and especially in Hong Kong. Can you share with us about your thoughts?
Well, I think one of the most important things that we have to change in Hong Kong is developing that HK-UK partnership. You know, one of the most important things here is that Hong Kong is not known for being excellent in the field of craftsmanship. It's known for being very quick, and it's known for being very cheap. But what we have to do is take that narrative and change it completely into something that's new, something that's genuine, and something that is focusing on the future. And the alignment with Savile Row, with London, with the UK, that HK-UK connection, I think we need to keep promoting a new narrative with the training in craftsmanship, the training in cutting and fitting. So my observation is that we need to actually become a world player in the field of artisan craftsmanship. That is very, very important. We need to shed this attitude and this international comment on it's cheap and quick. We've got to get rid of that in the narrative and bring in something new, but be very genuine about it. And this, the start of having the training at Savile Row Academy is a very, very good start.
I can tell from the video that I've seen a lot of students in the video that they are very, very focusing on the tailoring and in the class. So do you have any idea of the attributes to become a successful designer? What kind of attribute they need to have?
Well, I think what they really need to have is to prepare themselves by training to the highest standards attainable. Training, and that is very, very important, is the training from the right artisans, from the right people, so that they can have some semblance of respectability. So that is what it is. It requires training. Like in any field of endeavor, you need to train, you need to practice, and you need to continually upscale and keep getting relevant training. And as you upscale, you just keep getting more relevant training until you become an artisan. It takes at least a minimum of 3 years to become a reasonably proficient master tailor.
Now, in Hong Kong, usually we have only limited time allocated to the training program. For example, in our school, we have 2-year high diploma programs, and in the university, they have 3 to 4 years. So given this limited time frame, do you have any tips for the teachers and for the industry that how we could apply the techniques and skills and make sure the student will get enough and then work ready?
Well, I think you said something very, very important is creativity. Creativity. Because that harmonization that I just spoke about, by connecting the UK and the Hong Kong, UK, HK, I like to say, by connecting the two together, that's very, very important, because you've got the value of your traditions in Hong Kong and marrying the value of the traditions of the craftsmanship and the cutting and fitting in Savile Row. So if you bring the two together and create a unique statement of what is an aesthetic that is the Hong Kong aesthetic. That is what I think is something that the students should be doing. And so that's what I meant by creativity. Bringing the two values together and producing something that's exceptional and something that's instantly recognizable.
Right. And then perhaps I'll shift the focus to technology. You know, the technology is getting more and more important, and the technology is also altered the way that young people learn and understand. And the people here, perhaps they are looking for quick knowledge from social media platform. So I'm very interested in how you will encourage the appreciation of the artisan in the classroom.
That's a very good question, Jenna. That's a very good question about technology. There are so many different ways of using technology. And we're not talking about speed technology to produce garments quickly. We're talking about using technology to communicate with potential customers and with existing customers. So we do a lot of, now we've embraced that technology to do video fittings. So for example, if a customer makes an inquiry, what we would do is on a video call, we'll show them examples, or we will do a short video and send that video to the customer very quickly on WhatsApp. And they would look at the patterns, and then we'll make the choices, and then we send out by courier the actual patterns of the cloth that they've chosen, so they get an opportunity to feel it. And then we cut and prepare a fitting, and we send that fitting out back to the customer. And we do that fitting on occasions by video fittings. So I would communicate with our experience, communicate what needs to be done, why it needs to be done, and what we wish to achieve with the end product. And that has had some degree of success so far. So this is how we've embraced technology. We are very much a one-to-one communication type of business. It's a luxury product. And if you're purchasing a luxury product, you want to be connected to that product. It is not like buying online. It's very, very different. So the purchase is a little bit slower, but it gives the opportunity nowadays with the pandemic to actually reach out to the customer in a very interesting way. And what is also interesting about this is that customers are receptive. 2 years ago, we couldn't have suggested this. 3 years ago, we couldn't suggest it. And now it is very much accepted that this is how the new and innovative way of doing business.
So the one-to-one is really a very good way to have the bonding between the tailor and the customers, as well as to build the trust. So I think the pandemic has also pushed forward the technology. So there is a follow-up question for you. What is your view of the future trend of tailoring after the pandemic?
I think, the greatest opportunities here now after the pandemic is that it's created more international businesses. Whereas in the past, we looked to our home trade to develop a home trade. Now we're able to reach on social media by putting on videos, by Instagramming and LinkedIn and so on, all the social media platforms that we have access to. We can put out ideas about what we're doing there, encourage inquiries, and we've got an opportunity for developing international businesses. It's actually much better than it used to be, because in the past you had to go out to these markets and knock on doors and say, here I am and this is what I do, and I want your business. Now we can do it simply by sending a message out and sending ideas of what we do. And it's what I call not hard sell, but gentle duress, giving information rather than attempting to sell. And if you give information about the value of what you do, the highest level of what you do, then you find customers buying that. And as a company, we're getting new customers as a result of this.
Oh, so there's lots of new opportunities as well. So perhaps I'll pass to Jeanette for some questions.
Okay, completely changing the topic from on-site, measurement and fitting with customers. As you know, there's a lot of software that people are learning and, to assist pattern cutting, like clothes, browseware, not only pattern cutting, of course, the retailing, the marketing. So what's your take on this? I mean, is it, obviously, I don't think it will substitute refined, high quality, cutting, but what's your thoughts on this?
Can you repeat the last part of what you said? What's the take on what?
On this, all these software that is being created to help with marketing,
software.
Yeah, and like clothes, browseware, to help with even the pattern cutting, the sample making, and presentation. So what's your thoughts on this?
Well, there is a lot of value in using the different software systems for production. But what we're doing here is that we are working with individual bodies, individuals, because this is luxury clothing that is made for individuals, an expression of an individual style. And so the CAD systems and so on is excellent for mass production, but we are focusing on building a reputation for excellence in the field of high quality tailoring, cutting, fitting, and making garments. And that is what is important. So we don't feel that we have much need for the automated measuring systems, because in this type of high quality, not only high quality luxury, but it comes with a price tag. It's also expensive. And, well, I sometimes say it's expensive if you can't afford it, but it is expensive as a luxury item. And so customers want to know that at least your garments have been made especially for you. It's a one-off, and it's not one that's technologically produced. So technology and the systems have its place, you know, the automated measuring systems. But it's always losing that personal touch. It's losing that touch of having a cup of coffee, albeit on social media or on a video call. It misses that connection with the customer. And it's the connection with the customer that has its value. And the connection in many ways, not just internet or a video connection, but the connection in communicating what you do and responding to the value of what the customer wants.
I feel the same way, but you know, this to make refined, high quality clothes. You know, the software is not yet up to that level yet. So, okay, so we can. Our team is saying that we should go to the Q&A sessions.
Someone want to ask, how would you see the trend of slow fashion versus fast fashion?
That's a very good question. Trends. Trends is the new modern word. You know, we're trending and so on. And fast fashion, you know, you hear the words of following fashion. That is because fashion is a constantly moving target. Fashion is seasonal. It has a short shelf life. And it has a devastating impact on the carbon footprint. Because fast fashion is almost like throwaway clothing, to be worn for short periods, to worn for a season, and so on. The important difference here with what we aspire to do with HKUK is that it's not fast fashion, it's sustainability, it's style, it's elegance, it's longevity. It is about projecting the image of an individual expressing themselves, and garments that can be made to outlast fashion but be stylish. And it's an expression of style. An expression of style is an expression of personal style, not fast fashion. Because fashion is to discredit, as I said, what you have, so you can go out and buy something new. Whereas style and elegance is an expression of your individuality. And the way these garments are made, they outlast fashion in a way that they can be adjusted accordingly. If your waist or your body changes, it can be adjusted to suit. If you can hand garments down so they last for decades and still be relevant. Style is a matter of being relevant to society as opposed to the fast fashion. So being an artisan, being a master tailor, it is that I design, I cut, I fit, and I make garments. And that, I think, has its value. Fast fashion has a place because it's generally, by and large, is cheaper. But we're talking about building a reputation for luxury clothing in Hong Kong. And so that's where I think our mind is set at the moment. So fast fashion has got a place in the world, in the scheme of things, but I think for sustainability and less of a carbon footprint, and the clothing banks that you have all over the world that could never be worn, I think it's important that we stay on the pathway that we are heading towards now.
Yeah, I think this message is very important, especially to the young generation of the designers, and we have a lot of students here today as well. So I have another question here is, would you see an advantage of practice on experimentation over step-by-step directive instruction to nurture students' design talents? Because many people think that it will encourage more inquiry from students so that they could apply critical thinking process into learning.
I'm sorry to have to ask you to repeat that long.
That means, would you see the advantage of practice on experimentation, meaning they just come in and to experiment on, like, from a piece of cloth to a 3D pattern cutting, other than step-by-step 2D pattern training? Because someone think that it could easier for students to think and to encourage more inquiry so that they could apply their critical thinking process into learning.
Very, very good point. Very good question. Excellent question. Because I think it's important that experimentation is what shows an individual creativity. Because if you look, for instance, at fashion shows, what goes on the runway isn't always what is selling. But what it shows is that designer ability to be creative, to think outside the box and do something very creative. But what actually sells is less of what goes on the runway. So I would encourage very, very much the creativity aspect to show that how the mind works. And as we spoke of early on, is to build relationships between the East and the West way of doing things, because we've got to think in terms of being global in our approach to do business. And we need to be expanding and developing, not just expanding and developing our trade in the East. We've got to get to Asia, get out from Asia and expand to the West. And you've got a great opportunity to do that with your skills training. With your skills training program.
Yeah, I
hope I've answered your question. What I've understood of your question, I hope I've understood it. I've answered it.
Yeah, I think apart from the pattern cutting skills, the material itself is also very important. When you talk about experimentation, you also experiment with the material as well, the texture, the color, and the hand feel.
Actually,
that is where experimentation comes in. Because if you think in terms of in the West, you think of a business suit. Very often you think about a pinstripe suit, right? But and a dark pinstripe suit as well, because everyone is conforming to an image of how they should dress a business. But where does it begin? It begins with the artisan that's creating something. And then the marketplace says that is suitable for us. We've got to change the narrative. We've got to make it something new. And I think the influence that you have with your traditions, I think that is very, very healthy tradition that you can actually bring into what we're doing with a westernized style, mix the two together and create something with color, with excitement, so that when you dress to go to the office, you put on something that makes you feel better rather than you conforming to what the office expects of you.
Yeah, totally agree. Jeanette?
Well, I have some questions actually coming from UK and from Professor of Fashion Design, Gail Atkins. And but I won't tell you which question is from her, but there are several questions here. Have you adopted new technologies to carry out virtual fittings? I know you covered that topic just now for bespoke garments during the pandemic, but can you elaborate more on that?
I need you to repeat that,
okay.
Jeanette, please.
Have you, during the pandemic, have you adopted like new technologies to carry out virtual fitting? I know you
yes,
talked
absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
I made a video on how to take measurements, which I send to potential customers or customers who've got commissions. And you do not have to have the skills of fitting. What you have to have a little bit of common sense, because what I'm doing is that I do a video call. I send a video in advance. So the person who's doing the fitting looks at it, and quite often is a partner or a wife or a husband trying on a garment. They don't have any knowledge, but with my guidance, having looked at a video, then I do a video call, and we actually conduct a fitting that way. And we have done it successfully, actually.
So
and
the customer is lucky that they got not only your suit, but they also learned something from you with your video.
Yep. Yeah. And now what we do a fitting like this on a video call, the response, the degree of success has been 100%. Because it comes with experience as well, because as an experienced person looking on at an inexperienced person doing the fitting, we can tell, without treating them as a tailoring or fitting student, we can tell what they're doing, if they're doing it correctly, and we can guide them.
Very good. So what advice would you give, this is another question, what advice would you give to a BA fashion student with ambition to work in Savile Row after graduation?
I think we alluded to that before. The training is very, very important. You see, nowadays, now that during pandemic and so on, they've got a lot of opportunity to do a lot of research and to practice. So they are ready to work. It is not that after their training, they then have to seek an apprenticeship that's going to go on for a long time. It is taking the time to practice what they have learned and then go out and say, look, this is what I am able to do. And that is, I think you've got to offer the marketplace a lot more now. And what you can also do from a Hong Kong point of view is that you've got the opportunity of learning to speak English and speaking your own language. So if you speak Mandarin or Cantonese, whatever it is you speak, you've got a better opportunity in that you can offer yourself to be able to communicate with customers from Hong Kong, from China, from anywhere else who speaks the language, to communicate to them in their language. So not only do you have the skills of cutting and fitting or tailoring, but you also have the opportunity of communication. Because, by and large, more people in the East speak English than people in the West speaks any other language. So there's a great opportunity with knowing to speak English as well.
Okay, so we need to come to the closing part.
Okay, well, actually there are still a lot of questions, but we're running out of time. And so we would be doing the closing with another video of yours. And we thank you so much for your time, Professor Ramroop. And I know that it's hot over there where you are, but I still wish you a Merry Christmas and have a great time with your family at this seasonal holiday. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
your greeting.
And of course we'll be in touch. I'll be bothering you all the time. All right. Okay.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.
There are 2 engagement talks for the pre-event promotions, which will be held in December and April 2022. Our core event will be launched in end May till the end of June 2022. And we will have 2 ambassador forums, which will be held during the July and August of 2022. This program emphasizes on the technical and practical processes involved in the hand production of tailored garments, including pattern construction, pattern drafting to theoretical measurements, diagnosis and remedy of fitting faults, cutting and fitting 3-piece suits for each student or their model, bespoke master patterns. The first Savile Row Bespoke Tailors Certificate course, Menswear Pattern Drafting, Cutting, Fitting and Tailoring, will be launched from 28th of May to 10th of June 2022. The second Savile Row Bespoke Tailors Certificate course, Women's Wear, Pattern, Drafting, Cutting, Fitting, and Tailoring, will be launched from the 11th of June to the 24th of June 2022. Venue will be Hong Kong Design Institute. A maximum total of 52 outstanding participants who work in the fashion field as fashion designers, fashion creators, and professionals, as well as fresh grad fashion design alumnus, will be shortlisted to attend the training program at a sponsored rate of 10% of the full course fee. Upon completing of each course, each participant meeting the performance and attendance requirement would be awarded a completion certificate by the Savile Row Academy, London. Eligible participants can opt to attend an examination upon completing of each of the above course for attaining a Level 6 NVQ certificate award. For more details of the program, please stay tuned on our Facebook page. Thank you and goodbye.
The finer points and the detail of high quality tailoring is very, very important to us. If you look at this, for instance, how we've matched the collar and the lapel, the peak, delta shape, our signature style, the pocket details straight, flap angled, pocket angled, flap straight and rounded to mirror the image of the front here. Cable stripe, cloth in pure cashmere. Here, real buttonholes, functional, that can be undone. If you tilt this jacket around, you will see all our lines are matching, both vertical and horizontal. On the sleeves, you can see them coming together. At the side seam, you can see them all coming together to match up. In addition to all of that, we've got the top stitch. You can see little details of the hand stitches with the seam slightly raised. So we made a feature of the raised seam all the way through at the side, sleeve, at the center back, you can see the top stitches. And we've got a complete stripe at the broadest part of the back, and we mirror that with a complete stripe at the bottom, the hem here. So there's continuity in the styling, gives that V effect at the back. And if you tilt it round to the front, again we followed through with the theme of a real flower hole with a loop at the back to accommodate the stem. To add to the fun in having your own personally tailored garment is that you have a fancy lining. It's all an important part of expressing your individuality.